ago in a galaxy far, far away. Now, curvy golden yellow text stationary in the middle of the screen with stars flying by through hyperspace that reads, Theory of a Blind Man. Golden yellow text begins to crawl from the bottom of the screen upwards. Episode 2, The Live Stream Strikes Back. After the separation of content uploads and live streams, this channel is dedicated to live streaming guests, gaming, proclivities and pondering of the fate of the galaxy. Darth Whistler reigns over these channels and his message will be heard with the help of many others presenting information for all to absorb. The text continues to crawl away from view deep into the infinity of space. For those of you willing to watch and listen to live streaming and participate in the chat, the live stream strikes back at a new upload channel with prizes and galactic credits to make you rebels come rich beyond your wildest dreams. But Darth Whistler is not satisfied until the triad of the Force has been completed, and so there lays another in wait deep in space and will soon be revealed. May the dark side of the Force be with you. As the last of the text disappears, we are left with stars flying by view in hyperspace, then fade to black.
Alrighty, good evening everybody. Welcome to Theory of a Blind Man. I have a special show for you tonight. A little out of the ordinary. Usually I got Tales from the Tube tonight, but I'll be doing that tomorrow night for you guys. But tonight I have a special interview, special guest, Pakken from Pakkentech YouTube channel, but also, more importantly, what would you call yourself? A saber forger, saber crafter?
I can say I am, anyways, arigatou gozaimasu.
Okay.
Thank you for welcoming me to your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a lightsaber enthusiast.
Okay,
And
lightsaber
also,
enthusiast.
yes.
Alright, and also too, you are a certified, doubly certified lightsaber installer,
Yes.
I guess you could say.
I am a certified installer for Nigon's Electronics Creations, NEC, by
Mhm.
Scott Dobert, and Sabertech doing Golden Harvest version 3 by Frederick.
Nice.
Frederick Foles, Folz. And those two were one of my greatest boards I love working on, because I understand the manuals, the electronics, what are the requirements, and clean solder throughout. Perfect work, and the electronics. I support those two boards.
Nice, and we will definitely get into detail about what it is you do with the lightsabers. Now, many people that have watched my channel have seen my lightsaber reviews of the Black Series Force FX, but this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about kids' toys lightsabers. These are the real deal, with the exception of an actual kyber crystal and some plasma, but these things are all custom made, and Pak here is, from what I found so far, one of the best, I'd say, from reviews. So again, thank you very much for coming on. I do appreciate it, and thanks to Melissa's World for introducing us. We had a nice long phone call yesterday, and Pak here helped me go through every single possible compatible combination to get my lightsaber started. So why don't you start us off by telling us how you really got into lightsabers and installing?
I guess I got into lightsaber installing when it takes place way back when I wasn't a popular person. People know me as I have my own faults in the community as a buyer, because I like to buy lightsabers secondhand most of the time, and some lightsabers that I bought that are broken so that I can reinstall with new boards. But what really got into getting into a lightsaber install, doing commissions, is when I bought a lightsaber from a Vader's Vault company, and I told them that I have an issue with the battery, and then I had to send it back, and then I had to, after a couple weeks later, and then I had to pay for their shipping to send it back, and even though I'm within warranty, I got my saber, but at the same time, I feel like there's a loss of time when I could have installed and when I could have fixed it myself, the issue, but I want to set it back within warranty. So that's when I started to start building lightsabers on my platform, and I started building Igniter 3s. And during that time, I was also introduced by Johnny Collado, who brought me into SaberTech. Before that, I was actually working on NEC by Scott Aubert. So let me tell you about the story how I got into being a certified tester. I was a beta tester for the Igniter 3 series, and Igniter 3's series has a lot of functionalities. It's a board that takes place way back since Crystal Focus version 8 from Plecker Labs. It was a competitive board until the point where CFX was introduced after Crystal Focus 9 about the smooth swing. So since then, Igniter 3 was lagging behind because it doesn't have smooth swing. It has real swings are only available in sparked 3s and spark colored 3s, but igniters, because there's so many features, it cannot bridge the algorithm or add more features to that board. So I was introduced to give ideas how we can change the Igniter 3 to accept his version of real swing.
Gotcha.
Real swing is different than smooth swing. One of them, smooth swing, is developed by Dexter, who was very popular and introduced in the Tinsy boards, and then slowly to the Profi boards, and sooner or later it became so popular that CFX adopted it from Dexter's smooth swing design, and then every other company, every other board manufacturer wants the smooth swing, so they all get the algorithms from this individual.
Why do you think they all want the smooth swing versus the real swing?
Because there are different levels in comparison between a real swing and a smooth swing. Real swing is like it's like a flavor. If you want a real swing, you get. I mean, it's basically like if you like to hear real swing or smooth swing. I'll just give you guys the difference, a demonstration if you like. So. Do you want me to demonstrate it?
I would love it. Yeah, really quick. Let me get to the chat. Blind Toes, welcome. Melissa's World, welcome. And
hello.
Let's see. We got. Thanks for the ad, Whistle. You are welcome, Melissa. I'm a Jedi Padawan, learning the ways of the Force. I have a Golden Harvest V3. If anybody wants to know, anytime, Whistler, you're welcome. Thank you. Welcome to the Saber community. Wow, nice, says Blind Toes. I know that. Thank you. What up, Blind Toes? Okay, go ahead. Shoot. Or blast, whatever.
So you want to know about the smooth swing first, right? Why it's so popular?
Mm-hmm.
Well, smooth swing is... I'll let you introduce a little bit about smooth swing. It's basically... two pairs of swings. The H swing, which is the high swing, and the L swings are the low swings. There are two pair of swings that are met between, like when you are swinging the lightsaber, you hear variations of the L and H swing. Depending on the angle, it kind of has this stretching in the volumes. It's a polymorphic sound, which it separates between the swings and the clashes to the swing. The swing is like a separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and reveal that. See, I made this lightsaber. If anybody can see, the chassis. I had to pull it with a tiny 3.1 millimeter port because it's a Saberforge chassis. The Zipport chassis are very small, and they don't have recharge ports. So I had to force one into the chassis. It's not meant for it because it's too small, but it's the only way to do it. There you go. So that's the boot up sound for the Golden Harvest version 3. The new firmware 3.32 release, if you guys haven't tried it. It is the latest release with the color change feature.
Okay. And you just plug that in your computer to update?
Yes, you have to use a computer to update the SD card.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So for a smooth swing, let me demonstrate it. So if I swing left and right, you hear a softer tone.
Right.
But when I move it fast, it gradually becomes louder.
Okay.
So not all smooth swings are the same because other font artists created different variations of smooth swing for every other. So that is smooth swing, and that's what made it so popular because back in the day we have boards like a Prism, CF9. Everything below CF9 is just a swing file with nothing in between to stretch or create variations of the hum as you swing it. You hear
so
this.
You could swing slow, but the sound is still going to be as if you swung normally.
Yes, you won't be hearing the stretchiness between the two swings.
Okay.
So, for instance, I can also demonstrate that because I have a Prism.
Nice.
And it's a great way to show.
And just so the audience knows, when he says the word fonts, he's referring to what essentially is a profile or a sound set that is on the soundboards. You can actually change up different sound lightsabers, effects, and actual quotes from the character.
It is based per artist. Artists make certain sound fonts. Sound fonts being the whole bank that contains files such as blaster files, clash files, force files, swing files, everything in one file that represents the font package, call it a font package that has these features. Not all features are the same for every artist. Artists are different. They can be either from Repulse Customs. You can get those. You can also get from Kyberphonics. You could also get it from what is it? Saberfont.com. Saberfont.com has a whole library of fonts you can get from a website. But there are very specific though, because there's like one for Profi, one for CFX. Maybe you'll get a CFX with a Profi, and there's NEC. The NECs are the boards are discontinued. You won't be able to find United 3s, but I was very grateful to be part of the project before it was discontinued. Changing the Igniter 3 from the R4 release to R5. But anyways, I will show a demonstration, like a little crystal chamber here. This was an old Prism 5.5. And I don't want to change or upgrade at 5.5 because this is a crystal chamber made by a good friend, by Michael Grimes. Michael Grimes used to commission for me. Here's one thing that even as an installer, I don't do crystal chambers. What I have in my hand is a crystal chamber, and I don't do crystal chambers with lathes, like metal lathes and stuff.
Gotcha.
So let me do a slow demonstration of a swing without a smooth swing. This is without a smooth swing, so you can get an idea. Okay. If I ignite it, I think this is light by if I can remember the name. I couldn't remember on top of my head, but it's a light font. It's inspired by Ray. But as you can hear it, as you swing it left and right, there's no in between hums. You hear like burn, burn, like you hear this.
Yeah. Okay.
So compared to years and years of technology that was built up, now we have this. See how smooth? This is what they call a smooth swing.
Yeah. So no matter what, you're gonna hear the base level hum of the lightsaber plus the motion of the lightsaber.
Yes, and you hear that motion between that's picking up as you swing from left to right, and the motion picks up softly, quietly to how much you really swing. It becomes like a little louder feeling. It's a gradual L swing and H swing mix, depending on the angle of how you swing a lightsaber. It varies, and the artists that do this kind of font did a great job in differentiating the hums to do that smooth swing levels. And you have also the real swing, and I'll want to demonstrate the real swing if you like.
I was just
so this is a
looking at
real
this
swing.
on saberfont.com. It looks like the fonts average $7 a pack. I see here Jaina. Is that like Jaina as in Jaina Solo from Legends?
That's right.
My God.
But keep in mind that not all of the fonts are all smooth swing, because the saber font has been around before smooth swing was introduced.
I clicked on I clicked on the smooth saber font, the smooth swing link.
Okay. So this is the real swing. This is programmed, and this is all coded by Scott Dobert. This is done differently than Dexter, so he's been putting a lot of time into crafting his own version of his own swing sound.
Okay. Yeah, for me personally, I'm still undecided. Smooth swing or real swing.
The real swing is loud. It doesn't have the quiet softness like a smooth swing, and by default you get this this variation L swing. The L swing is basically an elongated stretched swing, stretched swing. So there is a way to program the board where you can have a softer swing, but it's a constant swing in between. So basically it takes the swing wave files and it stretches out the swing files into a separate folder. So as you activate the saber, it uses the swing as you swing once, but it stretches out that swing through its NEC editor. So you're required to use the editor in order to use fonts. Let's say I can use a font that's a CFX, or I can use a NEC old font that doesn't have real swing, and I can port it over to the Igniter 3 and modify it where I can use the NEC editor and make it where it can stretch out a particular swing. Gotcha. It cannot work without a swing, an accent swing. An accent swing is a swing that has a swing 1, swing 2, swing 3 files, and it's a swing that it's not related to the L or H swing. L and H swings are basically stretch swings. Swing 1 files are basically just swing files. It's like what you heard. It's like what you heard from a Prism 5.5. That swing, there's no middle in between.
Mm-hmm.
That's swing. That's the accent swing.
Okay.
Think of that swing as the accent swing, but you put that accent swing on the saber, and then you add the L swing and H swing in between.
Okay.
That's how you get smooth swing with the
Nice.
accent swing. Yeah.
I was gonna say Blind Toes says that the saber community is interesting. I haven't gotten too deep into the saber community yet. I just got introduced to the Rebel Armory, which is really cool so far.
Good.
A lot of nice people have helped me out, so that was pretty cool. I mean, Blind Toes says Melissa. I guess that sounds strong. Real swing. I think that was a question mark. Smooth swing. Hey, Danny McMckenna, welcome, good sir. Hope you're not up too late over there in the UK. Oh, real safe the time package. What's up, Danny Mac? Just catching up with Chad. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Danny. I'll just try to get to all this stuff. Yeah, we're all good, Danny. Thanks. I hope you're doing well. So, to me, it sounds like, at least from here, from this point, it might sound different, obviously, in person, but to me, it sounds like the smooth swing is more realistic. But like you said yesterday, the real swing is a little more aggressive. Is that right?
Yes. But however, you can modify the real swing to make it softer. I have not been able to have time to do that, but I'm just letting everyone know out of the box
Right.
that as you start without modifying, you would hear some kind of loud between. So basically, it has no variation in the lowest on the volume of the swing. Basically, it's throughout the same volume that you get, gradual volume. As you hear it, it's the same tone throughout. But you hear this swing is more accurate because you can hear. It's the same thing. Well, the accuracy is the same thing for smooth swing as well.
Okay.
But as you can listen to it, you can hear that the tone never changes. It's constant same tone.
Is there a play like, okay, so on this website, saberfont.com, is there a way to preview the sounds before you buy them?
There should be like a video by an artist.
Okay.
Some of them they do have it, some of them they don't, and you have to contact the artist. Be at saberfont.com or go through the Facebook page and ask them.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vader OT. Is OT original trilogy? Is that what that means?
Yes,
Okay.
OTs. And Saberfont has been around a long time, since the hobby. So Saberfont has been like the mainstream fonts to go to until we have other people start having their own website. Cyberphonic likes to produce his own work, having his own separate website to have his own fonts available for the CFX, Profis, and Golden Harvest, and Versos, and all the other inaugurations of some fonts.
Nice. Yes, you did. Thank you. Okay, so as far as the let's go through quickly, if possible. I don't know. All the parts that someone would need to build their own lightsaber.
Okay. To start off with what you want to start off with a lightsaber. All right. It's a hilt. Basically, the hilt is what you want to start off with because it determines what chassis you need for this particular hilt. Let's say you want to use Ultra Sabers, or you want to use Custom Saber Shops, MHS, or Saber Forge, or you want to gut out certain lightsabers like Carbolite lightsabers, or Saber Mach, Saber Trio. Whatever lightsaber you bought and you want to upgrade a lightsaber, this is where you're gonna have to start building. But whenever you want to build your own lightsaber, it determines by the hilt. And then the chassis comes next. So let's say, for instance, you and I talked about what hilt you want to do, and it's an MHS hilt, which is found in the custom saber shop.
Okay.
So the custom saber shop has an inner diameter of a I think 1.2 or 1.3. I have to double check, but the diameter is big, so you have to look for a chassis, which is usually polycarbonate or 3D printed, a chassis that can go through the tube. And a chassis, back in the day, there's no chassis, but we need chassis because that is the standard, what we need for every lightsaber, because it provides durability and stability for the soundboard to secure inside
Yeah.
the hilt. So you need to have a chassis. So the chassis can be found on eBay or Etsy or from a website, but you want to get chassis that's specifically designed for MHS. So let's say I want to get an MHS, a chassis from eBay, which we discussed. And we found one, and this one is a universal. You can put like a Golden Harvest or whatever size of board that you want. And then after the chassis, after the hilt, after you get the chassis, now you need a soundboard. What do you want? What soundboard do you want? Do you want Profi 2.2, Golden Harvest version 3? You have Verso, you have Igniter. Well, Igniter is discontinued, but if they're like someone like me, I do have a few Igniters that I still able to use it for commissions if they choose to want to try Igniter themselves. But Igniters, you have CFX, Profi, Verso. Yeah, I think I mentioned all those. But all those boards you choose, it goes to the chassis, then you have the wiring. Do you want NeoPixel, tandem board handle NeoPixel, or you want LEDs? So that's another thing you have to consider thinking about when you're picking up accessories.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to do NeoPixel, right? So then after you get NeoPixels, then you need to get the wiring. So because of the hilt, then you have to worry about how much space you have between the chassis to where you want to mount the NeoPixel PCB pogo pins with the plastic holder to mount the blade holder in place. You have to look at the wiring. So there's 3 types of wiring. Actually, there's a lot of wiring. There's Teflon coated, there's silicone coated, there's PT, there's Teflon and Teflon and what is it? It's not. It's like a poly Teflon. It's like there's a Teflon wire that's very stiff, but poly Teflon is like stiff, but it's very durable and not as springy. It's when you talk about different gauges. Now I'm talking about different gauges of wires. You have 28 gauge or 22 gauge. There's a lot of information. For NeoPixels, you generally want 26 to 22 gauge wires. I usually use 22 because when you're wiring a board, I want to just do one positive wire going through the positive, negative goes directly to a negative pad, and data line, which goes directly to the data line with just 3 wires. Because that's enough power to push from the battery, the 3.7 volt battery, to the board, and then board to the connectors of the pogo pins, which translates the pogo pins directly to the blade, and the blade can signal through the power of the data line of the positive negatives and shoots out the NeoPixels directly to the blade with all the effects and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and
so it's a lot of information.
Pixel, excuse me, the NeoPixel is the one that you get more realistic looking effects, right? Like the blade can go in and out.
Correct. Think of NeoPixels like pixels from your car, like the strips that people put in their cars, like have these LED effects. It's basically like a tape, but it's a tape full of tiny little LEDs with some resistors or no resistors. But those are tiny little LEDs that mount in a strip, which you can cut whatever length that you want, and it comes with adhesive backing, so that you can
peel it off and then you stick it to something.
Yep, and then basically when you're building a NeoPixel, you would you would stick one neopixel one way, and you stick the neopixel the opposite way, and you put it together, and that's how you shoot neopixel straight up to the top.
Yeah.
So
So it's like
that's
two
why.
neopixels back to back.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And then it helps do this ignition going up and down. Yeah. So it does take a lot of power, but keep in mind that I use 22 gauge because I want to use one wire wiring through to the neopixel pogos. When using 26 gauge, 26 gauge is relatively smaller. You want to use two wires. So you would use two positive, two negatives, and one data line going through. Data line can be 28 gauge to 22 gauge or whatever gauge that you want. Data lines can still accept 28 gauge, which is the smallest gauge wire to use for if you're doing neopixel. But the power, positive and negatives, you must have adequate power where it comes from the battery to board. You need enough power to shoot up those neopixel LEDs.
Right.
And that's why I prefer using 22 gauge silicone wires, because silicones are very, very flexible. And oh yeah, I remember what I was talking about. PTFE. So you have silicone, PTFE wires, which is a between a plastic coated with Teflon, and you have solid Teflon wires. You have PVC wires, and you have PVC wires being the cheapest. The high quality stuff is either PTFE, Teflon, or silicone. Silicones are very bendy material, so you might have, sometimes they might be snapping. But whenever I use a thicker wire gauge, I always use silicone, because silicone provides flexibility if I want to make a chassis to slide out from the back of the body.
Right.
But if I make a chassis that stays, let's say I have a Graphlix, or if I have a Vader's lightsaber, and the chassis is not meant to slide up and down, through the tube, you would prefer either using Teflon or PTFE wire, so that it's not meant for the wires to go, out of the bottom side of the pommel. It's always different wires with different applications. You don't have to take my word for it, but this is what I do from experience, is that I tested those wires and I know which ones are good when it comes to installing.
Nice. C-Dubs Blind Life. Welcome, Chris. How you doing? Check out C-Dubs Blind Life channel. I just gave away some cool K-Tune accessories for your Honda or Acura. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for coming in.
Hello.
Looks like Melissa's got a NeoPixel as well. I like that idea, even though... no, we'll get to that in a second. I was going to talk about dueling, but back to the lightsaber. So we got ourselves a hilt. We got the blade. We got the soundboard. Oh, soundboards. Why would someone want to choose one soundboard over another?
Well, soundboards is the budget. It's how much you would pay for a soundboard. The more expensive the soundboard, the more features you get. Sometimes.
Okay.
Now soundboards, they work certain things. Like CFX is about $80, $85, I think, with shipping and stuff.
Okay.
So CFX can do NeoPixel, Tri-Cree, or whatever LEDs you want to put on it. But it's an advanced board. It has capabilities like you have Bluetooth capability with Dimitri Stock that created a program which you can do Bluetooth on your lightsaber through your phone. Ooh. And you can have it synced up through the phone app, which is only available on Apple phones. They don't have it for Androids yet.
I wonder if that's accessible. I'll have to try it.
Yeah, and you have to wire the CFX that way to handle the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And you have and CFX, and like every other board, other than Profi is open source. Everything that's not Profi is all closed source boards. And there are differences between closed source and open source, and it depends on what board you choose. But for like CFX, Golden Harvest, they have different features. Like Golden Harvest doesn't have Bluetooth technology yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet, but me as being part of the beta tester team, we get to test out features like the Seedling, which is a USB attachment, which goes to it's a connector with the board, which you can use to charge or able to access the SD card through by micro USB means through the
That'd be
Seedling.
nice.
But it doesn't have Bluetooth yet. For CFX, you're paying $80 versus a Golden Harvest you're paying for $55.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a Verso, which is the same kind of CPU as a Profi, because Cal used to distribute or make Profi 2.2 boards available on his website, saberarmory.com, and he uses the same CPU as a Profi and put it on his own board called the Verso to make it easier for everybody that's out of the box and
Mm-hmm.
play it in board. The thing about Verso is that it has a very long firmware update waits. So it's like you're not getting all the features yet. You have to test. He has to test them himself, and it takes a pretty long time. Whereas Golden Harvest, you're with the most brilliant mind. The guy who programs the board.
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Foles is the guy who programs everything, and so does Scott Dobert with the Igniter 3. He programs everything. So if there's a problem with the board, if I'm beta testing, and I shared him, my issues with the board, he just goes back into the code and fixes it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're going with a Verso, which I don't want to rip on Verso, Verso is great for the price.
Mm-hmm.
He has to wait to talk to a programmer to get that sorted before it becomes available to public use to use the firmware.
Gotcha.
So it's a long process versus talking to an actual programmer that can get the updates done, as soon as possible when it's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I said, they're both advanced boards. So it's how much your budget is. If you want to do a Verso is great. Buy the basic package.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, it has been using one font in the board for months, and it wasn't until that Cal releases that now you can do separate profiles,
Okay.
different fonts, But back in the day, it was one font the first time it was released, and it was a pain where you don't have the different fonts to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when Golden Harvest 3 was arrived, you have 12 fonts that's already there. You handle 12 fonts, and you have all the effects. And not just that, it can handle 99 fonts. So you can put 99 fonts into the board in a tiny little board, and you can access all of those by tilting or whatever. Basically, there's a group for that on Facebook. So if anybody has problems trying to operate, I was happy enough to teach Melissa the features on Golden Harvest 3 that was not mentioned, and I wanted to further the knowledge about Golden Harvest 3 to guide you. And if someone has a question, they are free to ask me. I'm always around on Facebook, and you'll find me, and I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can do, especially you were demonstrating the one button on that video that
Yes.
I found. And just with one button, you guys, you can hold the button and make a thrusting forward motion, and that'll give you the battery percentage, for
That's
example.
Golden Harvest. Yeah.
Golden Harvest. Or you could, so I'm talking specifically about Golden Harvest. But you could also not push the button and thrust your arm forward, and that will ignite the lightsaber, correct?
I think it's changed. Back in 3.31 firmware, you can do that. But now that the firmware has changed, as you thrust with the 3.32 without igniting anything, you access the volume control panel. So volume control
Oh.
is like, so volume is control is I think it's easier if usually you don't want to play around with that if in case if you are visually impaired, because it relies heavily on the blade.
Okay.
Because the blade determines the volume. So the blade is halfway, you know the volume is like halfway. As you
Oh,
twist your
wow.
lightsaber to go all the way out, then you're up to the highest level of your speaker that can handle it, and then that's the highest sound.
Oh,
But
that
most
is
of the
really
time,
cool.
but most of the time you don't want to mess with that if you are visually impaired, and because you're required to see it, the
But we could
blade.
hear it though, right? We could hear how loud it's getting or how
I can-
quiet it's getting.
Yeah, I'm gonna test that right now.
Okay.
I have 3.32, and I have to give me a moment. Okay, put that there. Okay, I just want to make sure I have my kill key. I found my kill key. The kill key, if you guys don't know, is a kill plug. It cuts off power. I always need that in case I need to travel. This already has a deep sleep mode. Deep sleep mode is when it uses less power. It will take at least like over a year before it dies. So
Wow.
you're in safe hands when it comes to deep sleep. Deep sleep mode is great and convenient without using a kill key. But I like to use the kill key because if I want to travel and I bring this lightsaber in the bag, I want to make sure that the buttons do not accidentally click and turn on when it's in the bag in the luggage.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Whereas if you rely solely on the deep sleep mode, you're gonna have to worry about buttons being pressed and then just accidentally turn on.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's do the volume. All right, wait a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Volume control activated.
Okay, so if I know you can't see this, but this is for the viewers out there. This is how the blade looks like. If I twist it, it goes low. You hear that? It's low. But if
Yeah.
I twist it, twisting goes higher. This is what I want. I want loud. So the loud is by twisting. And I'm selecting it. I hit the main switch.
Volume adjusted.
Then the volume is adjusted. Again, it won't tell you. Maybe you can actually hear it from the hum. I think you heard it from the hum where
Yep.
it's quiet.
Yep.
And then as you twist it, it becomes straight up.
Yeah.
So there are parameters that I set for this. Sometimes when you do volume control, you can do it where you move up or down the saber. I prefer twisting because I have full control over the axis.
Yeah.
The axis of the blade to make it go extend or
Yeah.
decrease.
Plus, it's like turning a volume knob, so it's really intuitive.
That's exactly like turning up the volume, like you clockwise,
Mm-hmm.
and you go down is a counterclockwise. So, yeah, counterclockwise is lower, clockwise is higher.
Right.
Yeah.
Melissa says she's got deep sleep, I think. Yep, she's got deep sleep. What I'm going to actually do is, I come from quite the artistic and crafty family, so I'm actually going to make a display box, like a leather wrapped display box for my lightsaber when I'm able to get them.
Display boxes I know a guy who does really great job on not in the emblem, but also like a wooden antique box, like a
Yeah.
wooden box with a bar wrap or some kind of cushion to
Mhm.
put your lightsaber in this nice wooden box.
Perfect.
And he does a symbol on top of that wooden box,
Mhm.
like you could do a Revan symbol on my YouTube channel. You'll be able to see that. His name is Christopher Royal
Okay.
of the Royal Custom Sabers, and he does everything, including the staining of the wood, the details, the black
Oh,
staining, the
he also
paint
does the powder
staining.
coating.
He also does the powder coating. That's right.
Very
So if I
versatile
ever
guy.
need a powder coating if I ever need powder coating done, I can
Mhm.
always count on my good friend Chris. He's an awesome dude.
Right on. That is really cool. I haven't really decided yet because you and I talked about mine. I wanted to powder coat it black, but I'm thinking I might just leave it the color it is, but wrap it with either a leather wrap or get some really cool looking rubber grips that are black.
Yeah, and I mean I don't want to sound like I'm favoring one powder coating people. I mean there's other powder coating who's reputable, like Scandival, who also does great etching work and as well as powder coating. You have Shane Moore that also does powder coating on his page. There's a lot of people that do powder coating and they're very, very reputable. But for me personally, I go to my friend Christopher Royal because he pays a lot of attention to detail. He's a very good friend of mine. So shout out for him.
Nice. Now that you mentioned etching, I started thinking, oh my gosh, etching. I could get some really cool Sith font etched down the side of my saber. Plus,
A Sith font with etching, yeah.
I think that'd be really cool. So we got.
If for etching, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
etching the specialty is done by Scandival.
Okay.
He does great etching work. Um, Christopher Royal is in his learning stages of doing etching. He has time to start practicing,
Mm-hmm.
but his powder coating is on par. If you want really good etching done, I think Scandival can do a good job, great job. But he's very um, tied on the commissions because he's very busy.
Yeah.
If you want details that you want on the etching.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, so we've covered the hilt, we've covered the blade, we've covered the soundboard. There's only a couple things left, so the rest is pretty much aesthetics, if they're compatible with your hilt, of course. But your wraps, your grips, emitter, and pommel. I guess that would kind of round
Yes.
it out, right?
That like I said, when you're selecting sabers, like there's different types of sabers you want to look for. There are Saberforge's ASP or Saberforge's Elite line, Apprentice line, um, Eco line. There's different variations for Saberforge, and then you have Custom Saber Shop that has the MHS V1, MHS V2, and they also have some hilt kits from Parks. So you
Mm-hmm.
have like the graphics or the Obi-Wan Kenobi TPMs, and you have the Darth Mauls. Basically, just um, kits, lightsaber kits that you can build it yourself, DIY.
Okay.
And in terms of getting a hilt, you want to have your own custom lightsaber. Um, I would say go with either you want a bigger diameter or you want a small diameter. You want great quality metal or low quality metal. There's
Mm-hmm.
different caveats to everything.
Yeah.
To go into detail, like do you care about the metal quality? Do you care about the metal quality?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I do, personally, yeah.
Okay, so if you care about the metal quality, then Saber Forge is not the way to go because you
Oh,
want
okay.
something that's high quality metal. You want Ultra Sabers. Now, do you want thin or do you want bulky?
Bulky.
Bulky MHS to Ultra Sabers. Basically, that's a bulky one.
Okay.
So you already picked out what you want. For Saberforge has different selections, and it comes also thin style hilts, which is great. But there are times where there's some sharp corners, but people have to do it themselves. They have to sand down the corners. Or sometimes when you leave a message to Saberforge when you order, to say, "Hey, can you help me sand down the areas? I am visually impaired, and I would appreciate if you can send them for me so it's not sharp when I get it." Then
Mm-hmm.
Saberforge will read that message, and they will do it.
Okay.
Sometimes they would, but as long as you leave a message, it's always worth it. But the quality of the metal, it's not the best. But
Is
meaning
the
that the go ahead.
is the one that okay? So I'm looking at my list right now. Hilt Style 1 from Custom Saber Shop, is that a good quality metal?
Yes,
Okay.
all the metals in Custom Saber Shop is high quality
Okay.
because the contrast on powder coating makes a big difference when it comes to doing transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Saberforge hilts is very tricky to do transparency because um, there are different gradients of impurities in the metal. But when you do it with chrome or you do it with anodize, it's no problem. Or
Mm-hmm.
etching, that's where Saberforge shines. Is mostly on the etching. You
Okay.
can basically do all designs on that, no problem. But when it comes to transparent powder coating, it takes time to try to sand the areas to order to get the powder coating to stick to the metal and
Yeah.
have a nice even coat. Whereas for MHS, the metal is already free from impurities, and you could powder coat that no problem. They can do etching, they can do everything that Saberforge can, even anodize. But the higher the metal, the easier it is to powder coat. For Saberforge, it has some kind of difficulty sometimes.
Okay.
And that's education for you all, so you know the difference between metals and stuff. Even though it looks great, you have a lot of selections, a lot to play with Saberforge. I personally like Saberforge because I have different selections. I don't need to worry about powder coating, to be honest. I use
Mm-hmm.
it mainly for dueling, just to have fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not knocking any company. I like I like things that I buy, and for me, even though Saberforge has its flaws, I still buy it from them.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue because I like to play around like this katana style Saberforge. Yeah, just to play around with it. You have a metal in your hand. That's all there is. It's just making things durable for you to play around with, instead of having something that's plastic.
Yeah. Covering the chat really quick. They're playing
Sure.
games. Who's spamming? Please slow. No, Melissa, that's Streamlabs. Don't worry about it.
How many people in the channel right now?
In the chat, we've got Melissa, Danny Mac McKenna, Chris, and Blind Toes
Hello.
using screen readers. So if you guys have any questions right now for Pak, then now's the time to put them in the chat. If you have any questions regarding lightsaber, I mean, seriously, this guy knows everything about a lightsaber. Things that I didn't even know were a requirement. The thing that I do want to talk about, though, for all you blind people out there, is I haven't soldered since high school, and so
Mm.
I'm very
I've
non-confident in my soldering skills, and that's something, especially with electronics. Anybody who works on computers will
before
know.
Yes, before I started doing lightsabers, I was a computer repair. I have a certification in Microsoft Windows Server Administration.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get my A plus yet. I have to take a test for it. But the whole point is that at the time, during my high school to college years, I was already disassembling computers and learning to put computers together. And high school, I learned some electronics and soldering work.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until when I really get into soldering is doing lightsabers. And lightsabers, I think I started about like 3 or 4 years ago. And after that, and during that time, I started to practice little by little on the Igniter threes.
Mm.
And keep in mind that I'm not perfect when I first solder with a cheap solder with no soldering station with no knobs that could turn up and down the temperature,
Yeah.
and it's not ES safe. It's like a household iron.
Yeah.
I tried that on my board for the Igniter 2 at the time, and I screwed up my board.
Oh.
And I talked to Scott Dobert. I am sorry, I messed up with the pad. The pad just ripped off because it's too much heat.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott was kind enough to help me replace the board with a Igniter 2 and gave me suggestions what setup I need to do a proper soldering.
Yeah.
So over 3 years, I've been practicing and I've been doing all my own saber stuff and I've been posting pictures and I got better at it. You need to have a proper ESD safe soldering station with the dials to change the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to have the tip has to be tiny, a
Yeah.
tiny tip to do some bridging on your solder. You also have to get the quality soldering. For me, my preference is a 2% silver, higher grade on tin and less on the lead. So
Mm-hmm.
that 2% solder makes a difference. 2% silver on the solder makes a difference to make the work shiny at the end. And flux is a big thing. You need to have flux.
Yeah.
Without flux, your solder is going to be chunky. It's going to be building up. It's not smooth. It's not clean. It's not professional.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
need flux in order to heat up the solder to make it flow better and smooth everything out to make it nice and shiny at the very end of the finish.
Yeah.
And of course, alcohol pads. You have the alcohol pads to make sure you wipe your work, wipe that flux work from the board. And you also need to understand wire management, because just because you know how to solder, you need to have wiring management, because people could just solder wires directly to the leads, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at it long term. When you have a wiring, and you have to worry about that, the chassis going back up and down. You have to understand flow of wires have to come together in order to have a strengthened durability of the wire, so it doesn't snap off the board when you take the chassis out of the board. So it comes through years of experience to understand you want to put a standard for yourself, and the same applies for everybody else when you do a saber. I've seen smiths doing work where they do a quick job, and it's not properly twisted, it's not properly organized, and people have issues where sabers tend to fall apart. You have to, everybody that does install work has to put a standard on how you want to present your work. And that's why I am a certified in NEC and SaberTech, because I always show my work to of myself as well as the people I am commissioned with.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see the wires, they can see the loop, they can see the twisting, they can see the durability of my work. So that hard work puts me to the spot where I became a certified installer. So I was very honored to be a part of. Even to this day, I'm still very part of for the project.
What does it take to get certified, or what is the standards for becoming certified?
Present your work.
Gotcha.
Everything when it comes to doing your installs, it's you presenting your pictures, your albums. You had to create your own Facebook page and present your work, share your work through the groups. Learn from people. If you have a problem with your first install, never be afraid to ask questions, because we are always here to help.
Yeah.
We want people to learn. So that's the reason why when I build lightsabers, they can go to my page, Pakkentech, on Facebook. They can see wealth of information of 80 pictures for each commission I do. They can see it from start to finish. Me unpacking all the parts and me doing the process of prepping the parts, then prepping, cleaning, and stuff like that, and then doing the soldering. The soldering, basically adding solder to each of the pads as preparation, and then clean off the flux, and then prep the wiring. The wiring has to be tinned, so you have to tin the pads, tin the wires, then you put the flux on the pads, and then you join the tinned wire to the pad.
Yeah.
So basically, these are the step-by-step pictures, which allows people to learn from my experience on soldering. And that way, that learning experience translates to you able to learn for yourself and start practicing and start doing commission work. And then people will notice you, and you had to ask Frederick Foles or ask Well, Nigon Electronics, he's no longer available anymore. But if you talk to Frederick Foles of your soldering work experience, then you can share your work, and he can accept you to be part of the certified people among other people, among all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
It's by earning.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Danny asks. Oops, 8 words. Danny asks. I'm guessing you need to consider and to take into consideration general use and wear and tear. Yeah, I think that'd be obvious. Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. Is instead of having the chassis loose inside the hilt handle, could you have it snap in place or have it lock in place somehow?
Oh, you mean like a detachable chassis, kind of like no wires, but it comes with the pogo pins where it connects to the part and it lights up and stuff. Kind of like how it's done in the Black Series lightsabers, like the detachable thing.
Wait, the Black Series are detachable?
Well, detachable meaning that when you get a lightsaber, right, and the sound part comes apart, like a little chassis comes apart from the hilt.
Does it really?
Well, back in the day, the Black Series do have that. I don't know if the Galaxy's Edge have it, but if you notice the old Black Series, that when you unscrew the pommel, the you got to add the batteries into that part.
Right.
Yeah, but the whole thing comes apart, right?
Oh, so duh. I didn't even think about that. That's where the sound card or the soundboard is in that battery pack.
That's a battery pack. The soundboard is actually in the blade, but the battery pack is what makes it removable. There is a way to make it like that for boards, where the boards are detachable like the Black Series, without the wires going inside, but it requires a special tool, special PCBs.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff that you can get is from stock. Stock has specialized PCBs that's able to connect like the switch to the body section, and you can have it separated where you don't have wires. You don't have wires, coming through. You basically have a chassis that has a pin that comes out that's specialized, and you basically lock it in place with a 3D printed part. So that one is the most expensive thing to do. As for someone who, for those that are, want to save money, I would prefer just having a basic chassis that just comes out from the back of the pommel, and then just charge your battery through the recharge port in your chassis or in your hilt, and basically you should be fine. I would not recommend. I mean, it's optional, but you're just spending way too much money on the materials, really.
Yeah. Oh, there's the question of the night, the $64,000 question. Danny asks, how much will something like this cost? It can range.
It can range. When you order something from Saberforge or you buy them pre-assembled, it's generally cheaper. But when you order something from a commission works are people that take pride in their work and making sure they honor the warranty and anybody they service to. For me, like the labor is usually $250 for the labor. For electronics, you usually have to buy it yourself. Like whatever board you want to choose from, you get from TCSS or straight from the manufacturer's website. TCSS does not carry any Golden Harvest. It carries CFXs or Versos in the TCSS website. Corbath website has a Verso as well as Profi. That's what Corbath website have.
Okay.
And then SaberTech website has SaberTech Golden Harvest boards. And sometimes if they don't come available, you get it from Etsy shop from people that carry Golden Harvest boards. But it may range up to around $500, $600, $700 with everything all installed, you're looking to spend maybe less than $700 with if it doesn't come with a crystal chamber. But if you want a crystal chamber with metal, with lathe work, with crystals, crystals with LED lights on them, and the amount of detail that goes to the greeblies, to the metal work, to the lathe, and as well as the install, you're looking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And there's 3D printed parts from Goth 3D chassis, and you also have 3D printed parts from Shapeway. You have options, and the price varies. Don't be scared about how much you pay for it. I would always go for simplicity and balance your budget. Find your budget, how much it costs to build your saber, and basically, if you want a installer like me or anybody else, I can work with your budget and get the job done using basic, install and lights up, the programming, everything, and as well as accent LEDs. That's all fine.
Melissa asks, who's in the chat? Well, there's a few other people in the chat. Danny McMcKenna, Streamlabs, the bot, and Blind Toes, and C-Dub's Blind Life. You talked to them earlier. So, yeah, I think when you start to consider customizing your own or building your own lightsaber, that your budget is going to be obviously the first thing to consider. But I think when you get to the point of buying a custom lightsaber, then you probably want to do the research obviously first, and then just get an idea of how much you're looking to spend, and don't be afraid to wait for, I don't know, sales or something.
Exactly.
Whistler, my comments coming through? Yes, they are, Melissa. Don't worry. Don't worry. They're coming through, Melissa. So
I'm happy to answer any questions. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, we're going to get to some more questions, at least the ones that I have. The chat, you're always welcome to ask some questions. Now, I'm going through my list right now. Let's see. There's a blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, by the way, everybody, I've got red accents. Red chassis, red buttons.
Yes. I would suggest that when we were talking about the lightsaber, I prefer that the main button being tall and the auxiliary switch being small, flushed. Because that way you can differentiate between tall being the main switch and small being the one that's flush, to the button bezel. Would that be a good idea?
I like, for me personally, I like things very symmetrical and very even.
Okay, symmetrical. You got it.
So, I gotta let the cat out. But yeah, I want both the buttons the same size. No, it doesn't really matter, but just as long as they're flush, recessed within the hilt. Hold on just 1 second. That's what I would want with my lightsaber.
Yep.
Come on. Okie dokie. Sorry about that. Sorry, hit the microphone, people. Okay. But yeah, so I just like my stuff symmetrical and even and nice and.
If you guys haven't noticed, I will be helping to commission his lightsaber, his first lightsaber.
Yep, sure is. Okay, thanks, Danny. Danny McKenna, they are. Okay, got that. Oh wow, it's already been over an hour. Interesting. Time flies when you're having fun. So, what's your favorite? Actually, do you have any commissions that you're working on right now that you could show your work?
I've already shipped back the commissions. But the one I'm working on right now is that was sent to me by a client, and that's a Graflex lightsaber.
Okay.
And, the Graflex, which I'll be showing in the back, is one I have. I have not gone into it because it's missing a lot of the elements, and I'm waiting for the the client to get back to me on getting the necessary parts to start building his sound activated lightsaber. So this is a
Sound
graphics by
activated.
well, I mean, like, make it sound working.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. He's using Igniter 3 on this lightsaber, and he wants a NeoPixel. This is a lightsaber that's inspired by The Force Awakens, used by Ray Palpatine. I'm going to say Ray Palpatine, no matter what. People say Skywalker.
She's a Palpy.
So this has all the necessary things to make it look like The Force Awakens, but the blade, the flash unit, is basically a flash unit, like it's modeled after a graphics, where you put in 2D cells. I think it's 3D cells, and basically the part, which is called the glass eye, would light up this regular light with no sound. It's basically a graphics is meant to be a photograph, photography prop where it flashes. And this is what, this is like a flash tube. Back in the 1944s or 1950s, this is the flash gun of the time of graphics photography.
Oh wow!
So he wants me to convert, removing the original, the replica. It's not original. It's a replica of that. Just remove the flash holder and then start building everything. Having a blade holder, having a chassis, and then having NeoPixels on it. This is to make it NeoPixel ready. And you also have the speaker, the 28mm speakers. This would become a fully functional lightsaber by the time I'm done with it.
Nice.
But as of right now, this commission is currently pending. I'm still waiting for him to let me know on the parts that I need to start building. When it comes to commissions, this is a big thing. People have their way of having commissions where people pay up front and then they accept the commissions. Me, I never accept payment up front. Customers are responsible, or clients are responsible, to send me their lightsabers for me to work on all the parts, and then the commission gets paid at the end once I presented you the photographs or the work I did onto it, and I also do a demo that it works perfectly, as well as pictures of the start process from front to finish, so you're able to be comfortable of the work I did, and that I don't hide my work. Other people don't really show a lot of photographs, but I put the whole 10 miles showing every work that I do as a learning experience for you, those that would like to learn from it, from my soldering, as well as how I solder my work to help with other people understand.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Melissa says Ray Palpatine works for me.
But so far, I have I only take 3 commissions per month. That way I can manage the amount of people I can do the install. I don't take like lots of people because I have I'm working, so I take my time to do it perfectly per each saber.
Yeah.
So everything is catered to the chassis. The chassis dictates how my wiring is gonna work on the saber.
Yeah. Blind Toes, to answer your question, absolutely. Mine was under that $500 mark as well. So yes, you could have one made for under $500.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. I already made a lightsaber for around 400 total with NeoPixel and everything.
Yeah. Yep. If I didn't do some little fancy stuff, I could have got my price down. But you know me, I want a double-sided lightsaber. So
you wanted to go big,
yes.
And you want this to last long.
Yep,
and this is
absolutely.
what you're gonna get. A lightsaber that's durable and built by someone who takes a great pride into the work.
Yeah, that was a big thing too. Blind Toes or anybody else who's considering getting one, call this guy right here, Pakken. He's awesome. He went through everything with me. because he has worked with Melissa, he gets the visual impairment thing as well. So he'll talk you through everything that you need to know. If you got any
absolutely.
questions, what's that?
I said absolutely.
Yeah. Melissa says, I learned to navigate the Golden Harvest V3, and I used to be nervous until Pakken found me and taught me how to navigate it.
So I didn't. So Scarecrow did the commission, and for me, like I did not do the commission at all, but I wanted to help her understand there's a lot of potential what the Golden Harvest can do, and I talked to Scarecrow. We were able to teach her about the Golden Harvest, and he said it's his first time trying out the board. So I was like, oh, okay. So I guess you only taught her a little bit about the basics. So basically, I talked with Melissa, and I want to go through what she learned from Scarecrow. Anything that's left off, what he taught her, I cover the rest. So the problem that she had before was how to get the battery indicator. And the battery indicator is like you have to thrust.
Right.
But her arm is weak. So at the time, it's really hard to thrust. So I did a little exercise, I did a little demonstration. As a martial artist, it's my way of how to strengthen the arm. I tell her to put the saber aside. You want to learn the basics first on the thrusting.
Right.
So you hold your hand out like there's a cup in your hand. The palm face flat, cup. And you hold it like this. You pass the cup, your whole arm flat, your hand flat, you're holding the cup still. And you bring it back, you take the cup, you retrieve the cup in this position where it's an angle. And then you pass the cup, you flatten your arm. So basically, you pass the cup, retrieve the cup, pass the cup, retrieve the cup. You do this exercise on both arms in order to get ready. You also have to breathe in. So as you go in, you breathe in, you breathe out, you pass the cup.
Right.
So you do that slowly until you start building and understanding about how your arm works. And then you take your saber. Remember, the saber has weight. So pretend the saber is a cup. And then you start practicing pass the saber or pass the cup. Retrieve the saber, retrieve the cup. So pass the cup, retrieve the cup. And as long as you do this exercise, feeling and learning the weight of your saber, then you go quick as you hold the main switch, and then you thrust quick, having to extend past the cup. And you learn to master your arm movement, then you get the thrust, and you're able to activate the battery indicator. And that's how you do it. It's learning yourself. And no one was able to, I can understand her struggles. That's why I can try to help her with these exercises until she mastered it. And she mastered it very well in hours and days after talking with her. And it's been great.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, this is cool. Okay, Blind Toes asks, what if he wants lightsaber nunchucks?
You can do that, but it is specialized. It is required by someone with a lathe. You cannot find someone. You cannot find it from a custom saber shop, and you cannot find because it's a specialized item. I think you get it from Pot Store. Pot Store is a Hong Kong store that sells sabers overseas. They might have lightsaber nunchucks, which you can install a Golden Harvest board if you want to. But I think it comes with their own Asteria V2 board. So they have their own boards, their own chassis and whatnot. So, yeah.
How flexible is the NeoPixel strips?
The NeoPixel strips are flexible, but now here's where it comes down to whether you want you to use NeoPixel or LED tri-crease. Now, there's different variations of LEDs if you're doing LED. So there's quad cree, you have tri-cree, you have dual cree, and you have single cree. The crees are basically the amount of dyes on this LED star. The LED star being that it's a heat sink for the LEDs. Heat sink where when you put enough power into the LEDs, it heats up. So it's a metal heat sink that helps disperse some of that heat to the heat sink. So so you only use in terms of the flexibility of the strip that you mentioned, they are flexible, but if you use it many times for dueling, you may come across where when the strip is knocked back and forth against the foam, you would probably snap something which causes it to turn off or cause a dim spot on the NeoPixel. So it's a pain in the butt to remove, to replace that, but usually generally you want the NeoPixel to use for light dueling and maybe to show off.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see. But when you want to duel someone, like a competitive dueling with Saber Legion, generally you would use Tricree. Tricree. So Tricree is like a flashlight in a tube with different colors to choose from. And the blade is just a blade on a tube where it comes with a cellophane to push light directly. It's a flashlight in the tube, basically you turn on. And the blade is just hollow. It's nothing. If the blade breaks, you can just replace another blade, which is cheaper to get.
Yeah.
But with NeoPixels, you had to worry about the strip being hit with enough force that would knock certain components off. It does happen.
Did you ever read the Darth Bane trilogy?
The Rule of Two, some of it.
So in the first book, Path of Destruction, there was a woman. No, she wasn't Zabrak, but anyway, she was like.
Darth Zana?
No, not Darth Zana. That was the girl that he found on the planet after the thought bomb. But no, when he was at the Sith Academy on Korriban, there was a female there. And she teamed up with him to take out the main Zabrak at the academy. Well, anyway, she had a lightsaber whip. And that's what I was thinking.
Is it the same light whip as Darth Lumia?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
Darth Lumia is the person that trained Darth Caedus. I'm talking about the new. He uses the light whip.
It's probably the same concept then. But anyway, so that's what I was thinking about. Like, how flexible is the NeoPixels? Could someone make a whip? But it doesn't sound like it'd be very. Obviously, you couldn't duel with it.
You can. You could do it through without NeoPixel. You have a whip that's clear, a clear translucent. Use the flashlight in the tube. The light within the Tricree can push enough LEDs directly to a whip-like structure, and then you would have a dispersion of light through the plastic clear part. It's a custom part. So it is possible to do it without the NeoPixel, and you have the light whip, which you can play around with the transparency.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Glad Pakken found me. You'll have to give me his contact details, Whistler. Well, Danny, tell you what. How about this? I will, but while we're at it, Pak, why don't you go ahead and give everybody whatever information you want to give them so they can get a hold of you and get their custom lightsabers started.
I appreciate it. Hello, my name is Pakken. I run this Facebook, what is it, the store or whatever. It's not really a store, but it's like a business page I'm starting. It's called Pakkentech. So it's www.facebook.com/Pakkentech, Pakkentech. From there, you can find me on that page. If whenever you have questions, I usually do voice chats because I can actually understand the customer or a client, and we talk about the details of lightsaber. I put a lot of time making sure the customer is comfortable of what answers that need to be fulfilled, and I answer them accordingly. You'll find my page with lots of my work on the Facebook page, a lot of my portfolios, the commissions that I did. Basically, it's a learning experience if you want to visit. So thank you for your interest.
Absolutely. And really quick.
Hmm.
There's
Keep in
your-
mind, I specialize in NEC and SaberTech. So if you ask me to do CFX, I could do CFX, but I'm not certified. So
Gotcha.
I can do other boards too, but I usually like to go with boards that I'm certified for, so you guys can be rest assured you're always covered with certified.
Cool. Facebook.com/Pakkentech. Is it all lowercase, all one word?
Yeah. / PAKKENTECH. Now, Pakkentech is basically what I set up to also do laptops, cell phones, building your own computer, servers, and workstations.
Mm-hmm.
I do everything. That I started off as a computer repair, then I started now with lightsaber installing. So
Cool.
I know everything, with electronics just by having a mindset of learning, of keeping yourself learning informed how, resistors and voltage works, and it's all
Yeah.
soldering.
So what I did, people who's watching, I just added the Facebook link in the description box below. Also, I'm going to add, do you have a Twitter?
I have not started Twitter.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
You
missing
old
out on the
Republic,
world.
you.
Well, I am very old school. The Twitter, it's one of those things where I just, people talk about politics all the time. I just,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
want to talk
annoying.
about politics. I love to do with lightsabers. Focus on that.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the character Mara Jade?
Yes, I am.
Do you know?
She's the Emperor's Hand.
Yeah.
She was the Emperor's Hand. She then, I don't know if you're familiar with Mysteries of the Sith.
Oh yeah.
That's a game after Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, where she started after Emperor's Hand. She started being apprenticed to Kal Katarn. She
Yeah.
has her own lightsaber, and then after that, you have a story that goes on where she met Luke Skywalker.
Mhm.
She's trying to kill Luke Skywalker because she was controlled by Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
I did-
And then
when
she
he- when
had
he
his
died.
baby.
Yeah. Well, it started off with a Luke clone, by Jeru Cybayoth.
Mhm.
The clone was commissioned by Thrawn Mithranudo and Thrawn.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened is that because of her nightmares, and it never goes away, it says kill Luke, kill Luke, kill Luke.
Mhm.
She has to kill. She found a clone. She was able to kill the clone Luke, and then kill Jeru Cybayoth, and then the nightmares finally, fade away. And now
That guy was
then-
crazy.
Yeah, he
Cybayoth,
is.
that it was a funny character. Funny character. But the thing I was gonna bring up was Mara Jade's lightsabers. She's got obviously her regular lightsaber, but then she also has that 1/3 or 1/4 long lightsaber.
Yeah, I have two of them. I have
Yeah.
one. I
Oh,
have
do
one
you?
Here. Yes,
You
I
have a
do.
You have a shorty?
This is a what I'm showing on the screen is the Emperor's Hand lightsaber by Saberforge. Saberforge has a Mara Jade lightsaber.
No
I
way.
prefer having a Mara Jade. There's two companies. There's one from Ultra Sabers and there's one from Saberforge.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Saberforge because of the slender size, and to
Mm.
me, in the hand, it feels really good. If you want the bulky size, the bigger size, you want the Ultra Sabers that also has what they call the Emperor's Hand. I
Wow.
prefer the Jade Fire. Jade Fire is the Saberforge version of Mara Jade. The midsection has two cutout buttons. That's a 12mm, so you can put 12mm switches in the body, from top and bottom, and you could also customize where you can add in 5mm LEDs. So it's not installed yet. I will have to install it soon, but this is going to be a Golden Harvest, which I will one day get this done once I get everything, including the accent LEDs and NeoPixel, and then I'm going to show it off on YouTube and say this is the Mara Jade NeoPixel. And
That's-
yes, you can get this from Saberforge called Jade Fire.
Jade Fire. How much does that one go for?
149 empty.
Okay.
If you want the empty, it's $149.99, $150. Basically DIY.
Yeah.
$150 for an empty metal is great. You don't need to worry about powder coating at all. It's just the sheer design, the CNC machining. I'm talking about just the machine work is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The way they it's all cut out in certain angles. It's really nice.
Mara Jade is my favorite female Star Wars character.
Oh yeah. I hope Mara Jade would be in The Mandalorian.
We were just talking about that on our Mandalorian show the other day.
I watched episode 2.
Yeah, what
It's
do you
great.
think?
I love it.
Yeah, I was a little not unsettled, but I was just like, that's it. I was expecting
know.
more, but it still went by fast because of that expectation. And I do.
Are you talking about?
Hmm?
Are you talking about the episode 2?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was expecting more, and I still say, even though we're only 2 episodes in, season 2, to me, feels different than season 1, and I can't place my finger on it. Like I said in the previous show, I don't know if it's the cinematography, I don't know if it's the acting, I don't know if it's the sound, but something is different overall from season 1, and I'm gonna figure it out just so people don't think I'm crazy.
I think that when you talk about season 1, it centralized what a bounty hunter goes through, a progression.
Yeah.
When you are at season 2, I think that he's just searching for something, and he has a mission. He has Baby Yoda, but he has to take it to someplace that he belongs.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a storyline where he gets to go through some kind of task, like a quest or something.
Hmm.
And he's searching for Mandalorians. He's basically searching right now at this stage.
Yeah.
At the time, he's not really searching. He's basically like a survival on a mission on episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing is about the Mandalorian going for pucks, trying to get bounties, and then move on in the galaxy. This time, he has no pucks, and he's just trying to find a way to go somewhere.
It gives him a little more time to think on a deeper inner level of like, what are you doing, dude? Like, is this the life you want? Now he's got this baby. He's got to take care of it. And sure, it started off as a commission, but let's face it, Mando's got a little bit of a heart underneath that iron. His suit of armor.
He prides on honor. And he the thing is, he takes the mission to the grave. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Honor.
Speaking of Star Wars, Blind Jedi Vlogs is in the chat. Welcome, Jason. Thanks for coming in. 100ism question is, I don't know what that means, Melissa. Sorry. Oh, okay. She's just saying, hey, everybody come over to the Saber community. That would be fun. That's one big reason. Actually, I told you about this on the phone yesterday, Pakken, that Jason was the one that bought me my first lightsaber, the Darth Maul one. And so,
nice.
Yeah, I've been hooked on the lightsabers ever since. And I did come across some channel last year, female. She talked a lot about custom saber shop and ultra sabers. Really cool YouTube channel. I cannot remember the name of it for my life, but that's where I really started getting into the custom sabers. And making something that's more of my style, my own thing. Like, I love the Darth Vader look, but it's too bulky. I like the Darth Maul feel, but it feels too cartoony, if that makes sense.
Because there's so many buttons and greeblies, and as you touch the grip.
Yeah, it just looks
I can understand.
Come on. Oh, I gotta go back the other way in the chat. Hi, Danny. Hi, Planet. What's the world? I'm good, Jason.
Too many buttons.
Yeah. I don't mind the passer episode. Hope we're good. Jesus made a I always forget how to pronounce that. Vespar. Anyway, yeah. So, oh my god, I gotta write that down before I forget. Mara Jade Fire on Saber Forge.
That's right. Yep. It's under Elite Sabers. You'll find a Jade Fire there.
Elite Sabers. Now, what's the? I know this is going to suck if it does end up working, but is it possible to keep everything in my list, but go with a Jade Fire?
Yes, you can do that.
Really?
I would have to change the chassis though. The chassis needs to be changed for a Saber Forge chassis.
And the Saber Forge is smaller in diameter than the one that I got, right?
Yes. Yep. So which means I have to change the chassis to for the Jade Fire, and then it will work. Everything else is basically the same.
Oh jeez. Okay. I'll save Mara Jade. See, Mara Jade is like my unicorn piece for whatever. Like when I finally am able to get a 6-inch Mara Jade Black Series figure, then I'm gonna stop collecting those figures. When I get a Mara Jade lightsaber, I'm gonna stop collecting. That's my end goal for everything is Mara Jade.
I'm working on Jade Fire too, so yeah,
Nice.
by all means.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
NeoPixel accent LEDs, the works.
Yeah.
The body section with the 12 millimeters, I always use the flush silvers because I want the silver body to match with the body. I don't want LEDs. The only LED would be up at the emitter area where there's an accent LED. So that's the only thing that's gonna shine.
I think it would be like the emitter that I decided to go with was which one did I go with?
You went with the emitter 22
Satil
from
Shan.
Satil Shan. Yeah, that's from the Old Republic. Satil Shan inspired blade holder emitter.
And that's really cool because it's got the holes along the side, so the LED lights would shine out of the emitter.
Yep.
That way I can blind my sighted opponents. That's mean. I wouldn't do that.
It wouldn't be blind unless they had to stare at the Tricree.
Yeah.
NeoPixels is fine, but Tricree isn't. That's why you play fluff with Tricree.
Let's see. Mara Jade. The Mara Jade lightsaber sounds like the right size for me, says Blind Toes. Blind Toes apparently is a short fella, so we got to get him a shorter lightsaber.
For sure, though.
Although I don't know, like Yoda was 2'2", and his lightsaber is about what, half the size?
Yeah,
2/3?
that's tiny. It's tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny size. It's not going to be install friendly. The smaller the size of the hilt, the more time it needs to work on the hilt.
Or smaller hands.
The bigger, so smaller hands. So expect that commission rate does go high depending on the complexity level of the install. So the smaller, it's really tough to do because you had to fight with the space of the wires, and the wires are pretty bulky when you talk about NeoPixel. You need to worry about 22 gauge, and other wires need to be hooked up to. When you talk about like things like a Jade Fire, you have enough room in between, so you can have your chassis coming out and stuff like that. Yeah.
What does the Jade Fire sound like? Do you have the board for it?
I don't have it hooked up.
Okay.
A Jade Fire would have something. There is no Mara. I don't think there is a Mara Jade font, but I can I could do a mock-up font using Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Dark Forces 2 can be found from Cabraphonic. Cabraphonic has a Jedi Knight Jedi Outcast font from Kyle Katarn, but me being able to play both Mysteries of the Sith and Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, the sound saber is the same. So if I can just take out Kyle Katarn's voice and put in Mara Jade's voice from the game, she has dialogue. I can put that there on top of the Calcatarn lightsaber font. So then you
Gotcha.
have a custom Mara Jade talking as you lit up a lightsaber. Her sassiness on a lightsaber would be there as well.
Oh yeah, she's got some attitude. She's
Yeah, she has that attitude. Yep.
and she's got red hair and green eyes.
Yes, she does.
Melissa says,
all
I
about
feel like
the
I started a revolution in the saber community. Well, good for you, Melissa. Vesper. No, not the Lambretta. I don't know what Lambretta is, Danny. Sorry. Streamlabs again. Welcome to the Saber community, Whistler in chat. Yeah, man. Anything else you want to bring up specifically about your craft?
I take my time in soldering, because if it doesn't look right to me, I always make sure it is done perfectly every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't take a lot of commissions. I only take 3 at a time. So far, I had 1. I have about 2 slots available. So I have 1, which I'm working on. I have 2 slots open if you guys want in. And I'm currently working with your host, the Theory of a Blind Man. He's also going to be part of the slot.
Yep.
Now I have 1 more slot left for commission work.
Unless someone sneaks in before I get my stuff.
Right.
Mara is
But
also
either
Luke's
way,
wife.
like I
Yes.
always clear. Yeah, I always put like names out on my page, like this is the commission,
Mhm.
so they know that this is what I'm working on right now.
Cool. Yes, Melissa. Mara was Luke's wife, and I thought that relationship was awesome. The connection between those two was just great. It was
great until Darth Caedus killed her. Spoiler alert. Killed Mara Jade. Or was it the Yuzon Vong that poisoned her? I think he manipulated where the Yuzon Vong
she was gonna
did
die.
it dark.
She
Yeah,
had
something.
she had a disease that was set by the Yuzhong Vong, and they were
Yeah.
constantly monitoring her. She was gonna die eventually. They didn't have a cure, but yeah, like you said, Ben. Was that one Ben or was that one Jason? No, that was Jason.
Jason Solo. Yes. I think he was behind it. The whole
I always
Yuzon
get that
Vong.
confused. In the movies, in the sequels, Kylo Ren is Ben or Jason?
Ben Solo.
Okay, so in the books, it's Jason who becomes Darth Caedus,
And Ben Solo is supposed to be like Ben Skywalker.
yeah,
His son, because
Yep.
named after Ben. Then you have Anakin Solo. You have Gianna Solo.
it was
Diana
so
Solo.
confusing.
Anakin Solo, and you have Jason Solo.
Yeah,
You have Ben Skywalker. It's all changed.
yeah, it's so different. I like that book storyline better than what they did in the movies, but that's just me.
No, I agree. I love it too. I can't watch the sequels. I'm sorry. Sequels still good for me.
7 and 8, like 7, I could tolerate. I didn't watch it 3-4 times. The Last Jedi, I could not tolerate. But after Rise of Skywalker came out, I could tolerate 7 and 8 more than I could before, because I don't know what I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker. I will say that.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it.
It's like I always keep an open mind. I'm not one of those people that hated the sequels. I'm the person that just, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of it, but at the same time, they make their own interpretation of Star Wars, and you have to learn to not be angry or shallow because other people watch it. If they love it, let them love it.
Yeah.
To be a Star Wars fan, you have to support other people who like Star Wars. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. I've been studying what? Legends. No worries about the typos. I can sometimes make it out, Melissa. I agree with her. What is the What's on the us? I don't know what that is, Melissa. She's asking you a question, Pakken, but I just don't know what the question is.
Okay.
What is the us on Vaughn? What is the us on Vaughn?
Oh, the Yuzon Vong. He wants to know what's the Yuzon.
Oh, yeah, that's a race. Oh, yeah,
Yuzon
go ahead.
Yuzon Vong are just species where they are immune to the Force. You cannot use the Force against them.
Nope.
Their powers are basically native. Like they use poison. They use Yuzon Vong bugs. They're
Their
basically
ships are organic.
They're all organic, yes, and even their
Corals.
bodies, their structure is all organic.
Yeah.
And that makes it a threat to all Jedis.
Yep.
But in the story, we have it where Palpatine was ahead of the game. Like he knew the real threat, and that was Yuzon Fong. And he had that thinking behind him. That's the reason why he had a Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's too late because the rebels blow it up, and how can you fight off the Yuzon Fong? It was a lot of Jedis were killed. In the New Republic, yeah, that was the Legends. That was intense.
You remember that scene where I think it was Kip? Yeah, it was Kip Fisto.
Kip Duran.
Huh?
Kip Duran.
The one where he was in the X-wing or whatever, and the Yuzon Vong little star thingy probe things were eating away at his canopy, and he was still traveling. That was cool. That was Kip Duran.
Yep, Kip Duran.
Okay. Yeah, and Yuzon Vong comes from the unknown regions of the galaxy, just so you know, Melissa.
Unknown regions, what they call legends.
Yeah.
Gets buried in the legends where it's almost forgotten. Unlike other diehard, Star Wars guys that love to know about the story.
Oh, she's asking Anakin Solo. Yeah, there was so the Solos in the books had 3 Jason, Janna, and Anakin. Yeah, 3 children. Anakin died.
Yes.
And he was really close with Ben Skywalker. And he was probably, he was like 12 or something, 12 or 14 when he died. He was something young. Because Jaina and Jason were still, late teens.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's when when Jason Solo fell because of the death of Anakin Solo.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yep. The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that part either. It's like anybody can become anybody at that point. Like Mando could say, well, I'm actually Boba Fett because I've got his suit of armor now. She's not I don't see her as a Skywalker. Sorry.
Oh, you talk about Rey Palpatine and Skywalker? You don't claim a name and say you're a Skywalker. Be proud of your name.
Especially a Skywalker. Especially like the most well-known name in the freaking galaxy, you're gonna say you're a Skywalker.
They have,
I don't think
and you know what? You're not. She's not even entitled to have a Skywalker name just because she's been doing something right. This is the thing about the Rise of Skywalker, which I wish that Palpatine would be a little more connected to his daughter, because the Sith is not black and white. For me, my alignment is to the Sith. Because the Sith represents individuality.
Yes.
And people have a bad conception about the Sith being that it's all power, all corrupted.
Yeah.
The way I think of Sith is that you have emotion as a human being. You have individuality to represent who you are.
But there's no emotion, there's only peace.
Exactly. That's for the Jedi way, which is for someone to restrict their emotions. And I understand some religions are like that, restrictive.
Yeah.
In order to let things go in a way. But for me, I'm a human being, and there are certain aspects that I like some from the Jedi, but I also like the emotion part where I can represent my feelings or how I can break the chains and the Force shall free me.
Through victory, I break these my chains are broken. We had a really good Sith/Jedi philosophy show a few days ago, and we were talking exactly this right here. It was a good show.
You could have invited me. How could some influence?
I would have loved. We can always do another one with you. That would be. I think that'd be awesome to have you on that channel. Danny McKenna asks, "Whoops, I need words. Do we have to buy the stuff to make it, or do we just pay for the stuff?"
Okay, so when you're doing a commission with me, you have to pay for the stuff. I should not be responsible to buy the stuff for you and burning money, and then you would come back around and say, I might change my mind. Then I'm stuck with inventory and I lose the money. So when it comes to getting the parts together, you have to talk with the commissioner. So if you want me to do the commission, you have to get all the parts ready. But you also have to let me know if you're missing anything. That way you don't burn on your shipping if you say you're missing something. I would go through it with you to make sure nothing is missing before it gets shipped to my address, so everything is all there. And all I gotta do is just put it together and build your lightsaber, and then after that I get paid for the commission, the work, and I do pictures as well as put everything on my page, and then put a tracking number and then ship it back to you. That's pretty much how it is. But everything else, I never take money up front. You provide the saber everything for me to work on, and this is the best way to do is build trust relations with your customers.
Absolutely.
Let them show your work. Show your work. Always show your work. Never shortcut.
Yeah.
That's what I believe in.
That's a really good philosophy. Melissa, there are literally at least 100 audiobooks of Legends, and I have most of them. So don't worry about print. You can get, there's ton, and apparently Blind Toes told me this. There's a lot of Star Wars books on Bard now, Melissa. So check out Bard, and you should be able to find a lot of Star Wars audiobooks. I gotta check that out as well, matter of fact, because I want to get the Ahsoka book. I just got her 6-inch figure, so.
Cool.
Yep. Well, unless there's anything else, Pak, I want to thank you again very much for coming on and joining us and talking about your lightsaber. Oh, I was going to ask you this earlier. What martial arts form do you practice or study?
Okay. I practice Kendo. Kendo on Black Belt Academy. That was years ago. And then I learned a little bit of Kung Fu in that same aspect of Kendo, and a little bit of which is Kung Fu. So we also have a little bit of Kung Fu there. Nice. Within the same aspects of the martial arts of Kendo. I mean, Kempo karate. So you have to learn some counter strikes, and you learn exercises, the diversion, not the blocking techniques, but in Kung Fu, you get to learn how to divert your movements to use it against
redirect their power against them.
But after a while, once I was in college at SUNY Stony Brook University, I'd taken clubs, and this club, really helped me understand more about swordsmanship, and that's Gumdo. Gumdo is a Korean art of Japanese Kendo fencing. So that's when I started learning how to adapt, learning the techniques, the strike, the stance, the breathing. It's all about the exercises and the footwork. The footwork is, you have to kneel, you have to use the footwork, you have the armor, and basically you have to announce whenever you fight an opponent, you have to breathe out with a kai as you strike, because this is the breath of the warrior. Basically, you're attacking and you're basically striking. Basically, you're testing your ability, basically understanding your opponent as well as your own, and how you're able to focus as you attack, because the strike is very important, because you have different points between the do, the men, the kote, the tare. You have the do. You have to watch out how people are going to react, because it's all about the one strike. One strike, that's it. Because it's a very intense between one-on-one situation. And I adopt that technique when I want to do saber. So if I want to duel with a lightsaber, I adopt those that I learned from Gumdo, as I learned for maybe about 3 years, 4 years, and I still practice the same techniques because Gumdo is all about learning yourself.
Yeah.
As long as you
absolutely.
practice and refine your techniques, that's all it is mastering the basics, and
Yep.
that's how you do Gumdo. Yeah, that's my martial arts background, is learning Kempo, Karate, Kung Fu, and Gumdo.
Nice. Yeah, I started off with Kempo Karate as well, and then I went on to. I had a friend actually who did trade work for tattoos, and the guy that he went to was actually a Wing Chun master, so that's where I got my Wing Chun from.
Mm.
Let's see. Blind Jedi says, I love it. I love it. Thank you for coming in. Ivan Ellis.
you.
Yep, Melissa, that'll work. I know what it stands for. Thank you.
And you know what? There's different, in Star Wars terms, there are different styles for
Yeah.
Star Wars. You have the Shicho, the Sorisu, and you have the Makashi. So whenever I look at these Star Wars terms in terms of lightsaber combat, or from applications as you learn from martial arts,
Mhm.
because I learned Kumdo, I would be under the category of Gemso. Gemso is what's traditionally used for in A New Hope, when it was introduced, where Obi-Wan and Vader are fighting, and when George Lucas tells a story about how they're fighting, he wants it to be more like Kendo.
Mhm.
So because of the Kendo aspect of what he wanted the story, how the fight scene's going to turn out in A New Hope, that Kendo translates to what they use, which is Gemso, which is where I take the name Gemso as what I do with Gumdo, because Gumdo follows the same application as a Kendo.
Yeah.
So I would follow Gemso. For people who do fencing, they do Makashi.
Okay.
If they do, let's see, Wing Chun, or they use, what does Jet Li use? Jet Li uses a sword technique. It's very fluid. That one's more like Naiman sword technique. Naiman
Okay.
is more like versatility. Sword,
I was thinking like
able to-
Jeet Kune Do or something. Jeet Kune Do.
Jeet Kune Do is like the fluid, the motion, but I don't know about swords. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I've seen swords using apply for Jeet Kune Do. I'm talking about like swords, like if you're using Wing Chun. I think Wing Chun has a way to use a sword,
Yep.
having to stretch out, kind of like what's it called? It's a Chinese martial arts that uses a one-handed sword. But I would refer to that term called the Naiman.
Okay.
So you have different applications, what it represents. So that's I want to bring it out there. Star Wars can exist with real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've talked about that many times for sure on this channel. I traded for something like Pakken. Okay, Melissa. Thank you. All right. Oh man. Okay. Okay, I'm really gonna end it this time, you guys. We can always have Pakken on in the future, but we've already breached 2 hours, so we want this replay to be nice for the people that come later on and watch. But I want to thank everybody in the chat who's been here and participating. It's been great. Thanks to all my
Arigato
members.
gozaimasu.
What's that?
Arigato gozaimasu. That means thank you very much
Ah,
for watching.
well then I could say Gormahaget as well, or Domo Arigato.
It's arigato,
Mhm.
gozaimasu. Gozaimasu. So it's arigato.
Oh, that makes sense, Danny, because he's in the UK. It would cost a fortune. Well, see, you could buy them. You can buy the parts and just have them drop shipped to, let's say, Pakken, for example, and then he would send it back to you.
Yeah. You would have to pay for the shipping, though. All you had to worry about is the shipping expenses
Mm-hmm.
to go to UK. But I'm sure there's other people that also do lightsaber work in the UK. So for me, I work basically on the US. soil. So you could always have somebody else. I'll find someone that could recommend you if you want to talk to me.
Awesome. Where's my ending here? Okay. Yeah, once again, all the links, well, not all of them, but his Facebook and YouTube are in the description box below. If you guys would like to contact him, you can do that through his Facebook page. And then, yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Much appreciated, and look forward to having you on in the future.
My pleasure.
Cool. And thanks. Oh, I almost forgot again. My members. Thank you, all my members. Earth Magic 7, Nicole Cotta, Danny McKenna, Danny Maria AUC. Who else? Issues 365. I think I got them all. Oh no, Blind Advocate. Thank you guys all for being members. And if you guys want to join, you can do that by going to my About page on YouTube and click the join button, or just like and share the video, because more people will get to see it and we'll get the information out there. So thank you guys all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Melissa, special shout out thanks to you for hooking me and packing up here.
Melissa.
And until next time, everybody, this has been Theory of a Blind Man. Don't forget, love is blind. Keep it blind.
And the force be with you.